Qué día más maravilloso. What a wonderful, marvelous occasion for all of us to gather and come together as community. And it's an honor to stand up here before you to wrap up the day. I am a huge fan of the School of Mirage Business School. I graduated from my MBA here in 2016. As Maritza pointed out, I am an immigrant, soy chilena. Despite my name, I know some of you have asked today, are you Latina? Sí, sí soy. So I have three themes that I kept hearing today through the panels and our speakers who are also motivational. So I wanted to bring up those three themes that really resonated with me today, and maybe give you a little bit of my own filter on them as well. And then we'll wrap up the day and we'll send you out there for some música y algunas cosas deliciosas. The first is identidad, identity. We heard about investing in your own identity, in your own future, in yourself. And I'm a huge believer in this, and if you're here today, it means that you are too. Because we're all here to grow ourselves. In fact, I think it's essential, especially for us Latinos, to really think about this, our own identity, our own person, to travel within. As a leader, it's hard to make great decisions if we ourselves aren't great people, if we haven't developed who we are. It's only when we're the best version of ourselves that we can then go on to be great leaders. And I think we have some things to overcome. I'm going to share with you, I grew up in Chile, as I pointed out. I was born during a time of dictatorship. I grew up in a 2-bedroom home. My grandparents had one. My parents, my siblings, and I had the other bedroom. It was a tiny little home with love, and probably I didn't understand just how poor we were, but now looking back, I think, wow. And it was during a time of dictatorship, so there was a lot of social unrest. In fact, our community had been taught to sort of be quiet, be silent, because it was a military dictatorship. So you can see how growing up in this sort of situation brings about trauma as a society. These are all things we have to contend with as Latinos, because we all come from a background of conquistados in some way or another, in which we've been silenced, in which we've been taught to, hey men, don't show your emotions. Women, why don't you caretake? And we've been suppressed. And we have to overcome that and work on ourselves to bring out our voice, to be strong. This isn't the person I was born. This is the person I've earned to be. And we should all earn who we are. We should earn our identity by working on ourselves, by turning within. So identidad comes first if you're thinking about being a leader, or you want to be a leader, or you are a leader already. The harder I work on myself, the more I have to give to others. The better a leader I can be, the more I have to give. So that's number one, identidad. Number two, we heard about curiosidad, curiosity. I believe that intelligence, and Einstein I think said this, is just endless curiosity. The more we're curious about the world, the more we're curious about problems and people, well, the more we're going to learn, because that's where it leads to. In fact, every time I run into a problem in my life, I first say, oh, I don't have this skill set to approach it. If I'm feeling stuck, my first thought is, how do I grow my skill set so I can navigate this well? I'm going to give you a couple of examples, two, to echo our earlier speaker. 2 examples. The first is when I came to Mirage. It was during the time of the Affordable Care Act. And some of you may know that my late husband and I owned and ran clinics, pain management clinics. During that time, our reimbursements got cut in half. We lost the ability to set our pricing. Our contracts with different carriers were yanked, and they were all renegotiated, and all of a sudden we saw our profits dwindling for our clinics. It was a time of stress. And all of a sudden, I thought, well, what do we do with this? And I think because I've come from so much diversity, And I was always taught, hey, grow your skill set. You know, my father's a professor, so there was always this sort of intellectual approach to it. I came to Mirage to grow my skill set. I didn't know exactly how that would work or how that would help, but I knew that having a business foundation, that could help during a tumultuous time. Sure enough, being here, getting my MBA was responsible for the most profitable times to come at our clinic. We took that time, we grew our services while I was here and afterwards and beyond, right? I ended up selling my clinics last year. I couldn't have traveled that journey had I not grown that skill set during that pivotal time that was a make or break for the business. I have another example for you, and that is during the pandemic, I sold my clinics, and I was going through kind of an identity crisis of what do I do next? And of course, you may have heard from many entrepreneurs that have ran their businesses for many, many years, that once they sell them, you kind of hit a wall and you say, well, what now? You know, and you're being thrown opportunities, and it was during COVID, and I wasn't sure where I was going to take this. And I decided this is a great time to grow my skill set, right? Because I hit that wall, and every time I hit a wall, it always says to me, let's grow this skill set. So out of Mirage, what came was a love for organizational behavior. And I went and studied with a psychologist, Linda Behrens. She's well known in this field of union psychology. And I went and got my certifications. And what came out of that was a fascination for team building, for understanding people, for negotiations. And interestingly enough, the job I'm doing now, which some of you have heard about, I'm putting together a large conglomerate in the neuroscience space, requires just that as we're going out and getting funds to invest in us, right? Getting investors to come in and give us their money because we're trying to grow $1 billion organization. It requires hard conversations. It requires an excellent team. It requires exactly the skill sets that I learned with her that have pushed me and made me brave in this field. So it's interesting. What you learn never goes to waste. Invest in yourself because you never know when this skill set comes in handy. And as a CEO, I'm only as good as my toolkit, right? I get to take out those skill sets, I get to sharpen them, and all of a sudden, I'm a better CEO because of it. So that's number 2. Curiosidad. Number 3 is comunidad. We've heard so much about comunidad. In fact, we are all a comunidad here. What a beautiful thing. Because I grew up so poor, I've always thought about how little we need to survive, how little it takes to truly thrive. If you look at the foundation of what we need, it's not really a lot. And if that's your foundation for happiness, anything else is above and beyond a miracle. I wake up happy every day, and not because I forced myself, but because I've been blessed beyond my wildest dreams to live a life I never knew I could have. That little Pamina never knew I'd be standing here speaking with you today. But everything I've done along the way has led me to be here. And so I believe in comunidad. I believe in giving back. And I typically give back in one of 3 ways. 1, I write checks. That's right. My daughters are sitting in the back. I'm giving away their inheritance, right? I'm constantly writing checks. Sorry, babes. Sorry, I'll try to leave you a little bit. No, I'm not kidding. The first thing I did after graduating from my MBA program is I wrote a $5,000 check to Beal Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation because I was like, oh yes, we have to go fund these young entrepreneurs. We have to. Because I see it. I see the students that have 3 jobs putting themselves through college like I did. You know, I relate. I see the young entrepreneurs that don't have all the resources but have the hunger. I get it. I was you. I see all of the different initiatives that wonderful professors are putting together where they're like, let's go help. Let's do better. It calls to me. It pulls me. I'll tell you, the more I give in life, the more I get. Right? And I get so much in abundance, I have to just keep giving. So much of my life is giving. I've been blessed to have so many mentors along the way, here at Mirage and beyond. I still have mentors. When terrible things happen, they're the ones I turn to when I'm in panic. They're the ones I still turn to. I still need that. And I'm blessed to have a whole chorus of them. And I, in turn, now too, am a mentor to others because it's my responsibility to give in that way. We get and we receive, but we gotta give. It's a cycle. And lastly, I like giving at an institutional level, and that is of my talent, my knowledge. Some of you know I'm extremely involved here. I ran the Dean's Leadership Circle. Some of you know I'm the incoming chair for the Dean's Advisory Board now. I'm very active for the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. I sit on the OC Alliance, which, by the way, is a very strong group of all Latinos for the whole university, because we're furthering our cause, we're a comunidad. And it's important to invest at that institutional level if you get a chance to, because that's where we can make meaningful change for our people. I can help you one-on-one, but I can help you more if I'm up here changing the reins, changing the direction, shaping the future. So that's the path. Give to your community. Create community. That's why this conference is so important, because this is our comunidad. You are here today helping to create comunidad. You guys are planting seeds for the future. Next year, this comunidad will be even bigger, and bigger after that, because it's our duty, our honor, our responsibility to grow this comunidad, to bind together. We're stronger together than apart. We can get further by binding together and pushing our causes together, by lending a hand, by holding hands with another alumni, by going to alumni like myself and asking for help. Let's bind together. Let's elevate us. Let's come together. Continue to be part of this community. So thank you so much for coming to this conference and for being part of the comunidad, because this is what's most important. Thank you.